So, keeping in the spirit with our theme this month for Sync Focus, I have personally been doing some collaborations with none other than Jelle Dittmar. Jelle obviously has been on this channel many times. Most of you guys that have been following me for a while know him and have heard his story and all the amazing awards he's won in this business and continues to be nominated for more, and the placements and the amazing numbers of high quality production music library and publishers he has been distributed by. So, almost about a year ago, I reached out to Jelle and I said, hey, we got to figure out some excuse, some reason to work together. I had listened to a lot of his music at our previous Sync Up event. And I just said, there's some reason we've got to get together. I'd love to see what we could do together. And it took a while for both of our kind of schedules to open up. And finally, we had an opportunity to get started. So essentially what we did is we decided to come together on our strengths. Okay, so I really do a lot of what I've been doing for the last year or two with a lot of the music I've done is swagger rock. So, distorted guitar oriented, great groove and riff oriented rock music. And Jelle is an amazing orchestral composer. He does a lot of great trailer and epic trailer sort of stuff. So I thought, let's put together maybe a series of tracks that is essentially swagger rock cues with a blend of epic trailer promo energy on top of them. So strings, horns, big drums, that kind of a thing. But really, it's swagger rock. And the idea would be we pitch this to a publisher or library and see if we can find some sports opportunities, because as I've seen with my royalties and my catalog, sports has been a very, very healthy place to put your music in terms of the royalties and the consistency of getting new placements. So that's the plan. That's the journey. We haven't gotten to the point of pitching yet. We are still in the process of basically just collaborating and working together. But I wanted to, in this video, give you a little breakdown walkthrough of the very beginning of our process to where we, in the middle of the road, middle of the process, how we are putting some more meat on the bones, to where the final product is at this point, which is, I think, fairly close to being done, and we can move on to our next track. But just to maybe be interesting for you guys to hear the music we're working on, and also just to understand the psychology and the thought process and just the creative process for how do you collaborate with somebody when you're not in the same room with them. Because if you guys don't know, Jelle is in the Netherlands, I'm in California. We did not do any of this in the same room. This was all done online, okay? So when we first got our first track started, essentially, Jelle basically sent me this raw drum track. It's just a rock drum kit with some big epic orchestral drums on top. He just kind of created it from scratch, didn't have any music attached to it at all. It was just the drums, and sent me essentially a wave file. And that's really all I got. And so that was where our process began. So I'm going to right now just play a little snippet of what's going on with his drum track that he sent to me. And then as I'm playing this, in your mind, if you were going to create a swagger rock track, this might be kind of fun. What riffs come to your mind? Kind of hum it or sing it to yourself, and be interesting if it's even close to what I potentially, what I came up with, which I'll show you right afterwards. So here's the drum track, and here's what I first started off with when we began this cue. There you go. That's what I had. I won't play the entire thing, but that was basically the idea of the drum riff and the groove that was going on there. It's really cool. Great energy. I love that swing to it. Definitely perfect for swagger rock. It's got a lot of confidence, kind of energy just oozing out of it. So after playing with a couple of ideas, this is essentially the riff and the idea, the main theme that we came up with for the beginning part of this track. Here's how it sounded. And again, this was just the rough, not mixed, just me just throwing guitars and bass stuff on top. And I'm going to show you a little quick trick afterwards, how to make your MIDI synth, VST guitars sound actually a lot more realistic, but here it goes. So really happy with that. I love the riff. Definitely gets my head knobbing and bobbing, and I really do love the energy of it. Now, here's a little tip that I'll tell you guys. Okay, so using some bend pitching, some pitch bending, you can do some amazing things with your guitar riffs, okay? So here is the guitar riff by itself with my pitch bend. So just notice as the riff progresses, you can see right here where I made these little edits where things go up a little bit and then they kind of bend towards the end. So you can hear them, it just kind of bends up a little bit. Now, if I take all of this off, let me show you what this riff sounds like without any of this pitch bending. So you can just hear the difference for the believability. I mean, not bad, right? But compared to this, your mind might not have even picked that up when you first heard it, but now you do pick it up in terms of that sounds like a string bending. Dun, dun, boing, dun. You know, it's got this cool bluesy bend to it, especially at the very end there, where it kind of curves up a little bit. Especially with swagger rock and blues rock, you're going to really want to take advantage of that. So if you are like me and you're writing a lot of your riffs with VST guitars, take advantage of this, because this is the one thing that can sort of have your riffs cross the uncanny valley and fool people into thinking that you actually have a real live guitarist playing on that. Because that was actually the first note that Jelle had for me, was like, did you actually plug in a guitar and record these? And I was like, wow, that's great. I think I fooled him. But no, this was definitely all VSTs. And just so you guys know, I'm using Odin. It's one of my go-to sounds plugins. I love that one. And basically just an amp through Logic. You know, this is just Logic's built-in Modern Rock 2 amp. And I have one little simple compressor on it. That's pretty much it. So again, I wasn't going too into the weeds with this, trying to, you know, mix it and that kind of a thing. Just wanted to make sure that it sounded decent and it had a nice presence to it. And for the bass, I'm basically just using the built-in bass sampler within Logic Pro, using the bass amp within Logic. Again, you don't need anything fancy to do this. I think I did start to mess with, on this one, I got a new guitar plugin, but I think, let me see if I can find it. Yeah. What was this one called? This one was the Apex guitar, modern trailer guitar. So I did have that, and I think, you know, basically I was messing with it over here. This part of the track didn't end up even staying in it, but it has a great sound. So it's kind of a cool, you know, got a lot of echo and delay. It's got that big epic sound to it, which is really cool. But, you know, you don't necessarily have to use that. Odin and or that Apex, I think would get you to where you want to go. So that was essentially what I sent off to him once I had the whole thing fleshed out. And then basically I bounced all of this as stems. I gave him back his drums, and then I gave him basically the guitars stemmed out and the bass stemmed out. And then it was back to Jelle's studio, back in the Netherlands, where he essentially were to fill in the gaps and basically start putting in the strings and the horns, and maybe some other orchestral elements to kind of add that big epic trailer energy to it. So now I will open up the next session where essentially you see the final product. Okay, so here is the final session after Jelle sent me the additional elements that he put on top, and we went back and forth with a couple of revisions here and there. Not much, just literally 1 or 2 revisions. And then I was tasked with essentially putting it together and doing the essentially mixing and mastering. So I'm not going to play the beginning, kind of already gave you a sense of where that beginning goes, but I'm going to show you now, you know, from just drums to just drums and my guitar and bass to where we landed. I'm going to show you basically the kind of big crescendo ending of this track, just so you can hear and feel how much bigger this got just as a result of us working together. And honestly, mostly of Jelle adding his touch to this kind of thing. So here you go. Here's the ending of our track, which actually still does not have a name. We're pretty freshly completed with this one, but here you go. So there you have it. That's basically the ending of the track in a nutshell. And I couldn't be more thrilled and happy for where this is going. I could never do something this big on my own, ever. I've tried. Trust me, I have tried. I've tried to get into the orchestral trailer epic world. My tracks don't get this big when I'm doing this completely by myself. So it's just, again, a testament to the fact that when we do collaborate with the right producers, not every collaboration with every single producer might be the right fit. What I would recommend you highly do, highly do, is you don't just, work with somebody just to work with somebody like, hey, we should collaborate. I think there should be a very specific reason and a need for you to collaborate with a particular person. And I'll say this a million times, but we are great at a few things and we're not great at everything else. Okay. And it's just kind of an uncomfortable fact of reality that most of you watching this are probably really great at one genre and maybe even more specifically one instrument in that genre, right? For me, guitars and drums, specifically within the rock genre, are really where my strengths are. I'm okay with bass. I'm not great at writing bass lines. I've just never been a bassist. Sometimes I just literally copy and paste whatever the guitar's doing and add a couple of little flares just to make it different. Bass isn't really my thing. Drums, that's my thing. Guitar, that's my thing for sure. So when I want to work with somebody or collaborate, I really want to just make sure that I'm focusing on the things that I know the best, that I'm the fastest at, that I'm the strongest at. And I want to really make sure that I'm collaborating with somebody who's great at the things that I am not, right? So maybe that is somebody who writes great bass lines. That would be a good idea. But for this specific project, I knew that orchestral, horns, strings, big trailerizers, that kind of a thing, not in my wheelhouse. It's not something that I do a lot. I'm not great at it. I don't have necessarily a knack for it. It's just not my strength, right? So I specifically wanted to work with Jelle because I knew that he could fill in that gap. So with his strength and my strengths, we are going to massive new heights that I think individually we probably wouldn't have been able to get to. Okay, I can definitely say that on my end, I would not be able to get to this place on my own. And so this is why I really want to stress how important it is to collaborate, because the music that you output when you combine your strengths with the strengths of another producer, it's not just like it's twice as good. It's 10, 20, 30 times as powerful, as massive, as impactful, and as strong as anything that we would do individually on our own. Okay, so hopefully this is an interesting, insightful, useful for you, or just a cool listen to some of the music that we've been working on. If you have any specific questions about our collaboration process, about this track or anything else, post it below. I'll be happy to answer them. I'm sorry I didn't do like a big deep dive on how I mastered this, how I mixed this, how we put this kind of stuff together. Maybe I could do other videos on that. Just really wanted to focus on this video for the collaboration process.